Welcome to this explainer. Look, if you've ever felt completely overwhelmed by dashboard sprawl, or you're just sick of manually editing queries every single time a new server spins up, you are absolutely in the right place. Today, we're going to transform you into a Grafana power user. How? By unlocking one of the platform's absolute best, but totally underutilized features, dashboard variables. Here's the roadmap for today. We're looking at the end of hard-coded dashboards, query variables for dynamic data, custom variables for static options, chaining variables for precision, scaling with multi-value selections, and finally, surviving a real-world P1 alert. Let's get right into it. Section 1. The end of hard-coded dashboards and exactly why static dashboards simply do not scale. Okay, let's talk about the old way versus the new way. The old way of observability, it's a total nightmare. Imagine trying to manage 50 different servers and having 50 separate hard-coded dashboards. It's incredibly rigid. The very second you add a 51st server, you literally have to duplicate and manually edit yet another dashboard. We've all been there, and it's awful. Now think about the new way. Just one single, dynamic dashboard. You build it exactly once, and it instantly adapts to give you infinite views of your entire infrastructure. This isn't just about saving a few minutes of your day, it's about building a truly scalable system. So what actually is a Grafana variable? It's basically a dynamic placeholder. Think of it like this really powerful switch right at the top of your UI. When you pick a new value from its dropdown, Grafana instantly substitutes that value into your queries, your panel titles, and even your data links. With just one satisfying click, your whole dashboard updates perfectly to show you exactly what you need to see. Moving right along to Section 2, Query Variables, and pulling live values directly from your infrastructure. Getting this dynamic data flowing is surprisingly easy. If you're using Loki or Prometheus, you absolutely don't want to be typing server names by hand. Instead, you just navigate over to your dashboard settings, click Add Variable, and select the query type. Then you use a query like Label Values for Up and Environ. That little snippet right there automatically discovers and lists every single environment currently reporting to Prometheus. When new instances come online, your dashboard instantly knows, zero manual updates required. All right, Section 3, Custom Variables, where we define your static options manually. Now, here's the thing you've got to remember. Not everything actually needs a dynamic database query. Query variables are amazing, sure, but they do force your data source to do a bit of heavy lifting. Custom variables are exactly what you need for values that rarely ever change. By defining these manually, you cut out a ton of unnecessary query load on your backend, which really speeds up your overall dashboard performance. They are practically tailor-made for static environment lists. It's literally just a simple, comma-separated list, dev, staging, prod. You drop that into a custom variable field, and boom, it instantly generates this really clean drop-down menu in your dashboard header. It's lightweight, it's incredibly fast, and it never taxes your database. Let's jump into Section 4, Chaining Variables for Precision, which is all about building dependent, cascading dropdowns. This is where the magic really kicks in, especially if you're dealing with complex, hierarchical infrastructure. If you just dump every single pod into a single dropdown, it's going to be a giant mess, unusable. Instead, we build a cascade. Check this out. Your selection in the environment dropdown, let's say you pick production, actually dictates the options in the service dropdown. It auto-filters to show only production services. Then, picking a service narrows down the pod dropdown. It completely stops invalid selections and guides you straight to your exact target. To actually wire that up, you just need to pay attention to this specific syntax. Notice how the second variable's query, the one looking for service, includes nv equals nv inside the brackets. It's directly referencing the placeholder we set up in the first variable. Whenever the environment changes, this query automatically runs again, pulling only the matching services. It's beautifully efficient. Section 5. Scaling with multi-value selections and using the $all option for flexible filtering. Now keep your eye on this syntax here, the equals tilde. If you want to select multiple services or environments at the exact same time, you can't just slap a regular equal sign in your query. You absolutely need this regex matching syntax instead. And Grafana is super smart about this. If you're running Prometheus, it automatically formats your multiple selections with pipe characters, making the regex work flawlessly behind the scenes. So let's break down how we scale this kind of filtering. There's a massive difference between your standard multi-value option and the include all option. Multi-value lets you check a handful of specific boxes, which is fantastic if you're comparing 2 or 3 servers side by side. But if you're managing thousands of servers, checking every single box is going to crash your browser or completely time out your database. And that is exactly where Include All saves the day. By setting a custom wildcard for the All option, you can look at fleet-wide metrics without breaking a sweat. Your dashboard stays lightning fast no matter how big your scale gets. Finally, Section 6, Surviving a P1 Alert. Let's take everything we've learned and throw it into a high-stakes, real-world scenario. Picture this scenario. It's 3 a.m., your pager is screaming, you haven't even had a sip of coffee yet, and a Priority 1 alert is firing across the entire system. You log into Grafana Play to figure out what's going on, and the sheer volume of telemetry data hitting you is just overwhelming. Can you actually slice through all that noise and find the root cause in seconds? Because without variables, you'd be frantically clicking through messy folders looking for one specific hard-coded dashboard, or worse, manually rewriting PromQL queries while the whole system is practically on fire. But let's look at how this plays out when you actually have chained variables set up. 0 seconds. The alert fires, and you pop open your single unified dynamic dashboard. By second 5, you've already toggled your custom environment variable from dev to prod. Instantly, the next dropdown updates. At 10 seconds, you toggle the service variable directly to the API gateway. By 15 seconds, every single panel on your screen, CPU, memory, error rates, logs, they all instantly snap to focus entirely on the affected system. There's no frantic searching, no tweaking code, just immediate, rock-solid context. And here is the real payoff. 3 minutes. That is the average amount of time you save in a scenario like this just by not having to hunt for the right dashboard or manually edit panel queries. And look, during a P1 incident, 3 minutes is literally a lifetime. Your dynamic variables didn't just tidy up your UI, they fundamentally accelerated your incident response when it mattered most. At the end of the day, variables do way more than just clean up your screen. They completely transform your dashboards from these rigid, static snapshots into living, breathing entities that scale and adapt just as fast as your infrastructure does. Honestly, they are the defining feature of a truly mature observability stack. So you now have the ultimate toolkit. You know how to pull dynamic data, define your static lists, chain them all together, and scale them without breaking your database. The only real question left is, what dynamic dashboard are you going to build first to conquer your very next alert? Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer, and happy dashboarding.